Alright, let's go to a little practice test video here. Number one, square root of negative 81 in terms of I. Remember, you need to take out the I. When you take out the I, oops, I want to do it right there. When you take out the I, and make sure square root positive, and the square root of 81 is 9, so you just put 9i for number one. Number two has addition of complex numbers. All you do is you add the real parts, negative 8 and 8. That actually cancels each other, that's 0. And then I have negative 4i plus 2i, which is negative 2i, so that's all you do there. No more 8s. Number 3 has subtraction. We're just going to subtract straight across. Negative 5 minus 9 is negative 14. Negative 6i minus negative 1i, which is really negative 6i plus 1i. Negative 5i. Be very careful with your signs on subtraction. Just be very careful there. Number 4, multiply this out. The square root of negative 64 is 8i. The square root of negative 25 is 5i. If you multiply those two, you get 40i squared. Never leave an I squared in an answer because since I squared is negative 1. 40 times negative 1 is negative 40. That's all you do there. Number 5, let's distribute right here. Negative 3i times negative 4 is 12i. Negative 3 times 8i is negative 24i squared. Again, don't leave the I squared. I squared is negative 1. It makes it negative 24 become positive 24. We're going to write it first. Always write your I second. 24 plus 12i. There's that one. Number 6 is FOIL. So I'm going first. 2 times 1. Outer. Negative 8i. Inner. Positive 5i. Last. Negative 20i squared. Now let's combine some stuff. Let's start with the I squared. 20i squared. Negative 20i squared is really positive 20. Add that to the 2 in the front and you get 22. Now I'm going to add my two i's together and get negative 3i. And there you go. Number 8, you're squaring a binomial. Remember, you square, multiply, double square. If you square 2, it's 4. If you multiply these two together, you get negative 10i. If you double, you get negative 20i. And then I'm going to square the second term. When you square something, it's always plus 25i squared. I squared makes it 25, negative 25. So I'm going to do 4 minus the 25, which is negative 21, minus the 20i that's already there. And that's that one. Number 9. Number 9 is just to simplify. You have I with an exponent. Always break these down with I squares. I'm going to do I squared to the 13th power because that represents 26 i's. I squared is negative 1 to the 13th power. And because it's an odd power, the negative stays. So the answer is negative 1. All right, number 10. This was the second day this week. We're going to solve these. Number 10 is already factored for you. It's just asking you what the two solutions would be. Remember, it's always the opposite of this one over the first one. So the first answer is going to be positive 3/4. The second one, opposite of that, positive 5/3. And that's that one. That's all you got to do. It's already worked out for you. Number 11, so you have to factor it yourself. So I'm looking for factors of 12 that give me 7. That'd be x plus 4 and x plus 3. Now, don't just be so happy you factored that you forgot to answer the question, which is solve the equation. One answer is negative 4. That makes that parenthesis 0. The other answer is negative 3. That makes that one 0. Watch out for slide divide slide. Tomorrow it could happen. Number 12, square root. Solve by taking square root. So to do that, I'm going to first move the 30 to the other side. Make it negative 30. Divide both sides by 6. It'd be negative 5. Then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And when you take the square root of both sides, don't forget to put your plus or minus in the front. Always put the plus or minus. Because it's a negative inside the radical, I'm taking an I out. Make that square root of 5. I can't break down 5. If I could, I would need to break it down, but it was not break down for me. 13, solve by complete the square. Remember the gesture we did? Half the middle, square it, add to both sides. Start by doing this. Start by moving the 13 to the other side. Make sure you make it negative 13. That's a mistake a lot of people make. Don't forget to change that sign. Now, half the middle. If you take half of negative 10, it's negative 5. If you square negative 5, it's always positive when you square something. You remember, you're adding it to both sides. The reason you're adding it to both sides is because it's always positive. All right, now, the right-hand side is just 12. Left-hand side is x. It'd be 5 and 5, so x minus 5 squared. 2 more steps. Take the square root of both sides. That will get rid of the square on the left, so I get x minus 5. Now, 12 breaks down. You could write 12. Remember, 12 is really square root of 4 times square root of 3. Square root of 4 is 2. Do not know the square root of 3, so you get plus or minus 2 on 3. Be very careful there. One more step. Move the 5 over. It becomes positive 5. Plus or minus 2 on 3. And there's that one. Okay, a couple more here. 14 says solve by quadratic formula. Make this a little bit bigger. So by quadratic formula, remember x equals negative b. In this case, it's positive 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, which is 2 times 2. Okay, let's just work that out. Work out the radical first. Inside the radical is 25 minus 4 times 2 times 3. That becomes, let's see here, 5, 8 times 3. That's 49 inside over 4. Now 49 is a square root that we know this time, so I'm going to say 5 plus or minus 7 over 4, and then work that out. 5 plus 7 is 12 over 4, which is 3. 5 minus 7 is negative 2 over 4, which would be negative 1/2. I think if you multiply those two answers together, you get negative 3/2. Just saying. Number 15, solve graphically. You can do that on your calculator. Hang on just 1 second. All right, so I punched in my calculator. I'm going to go second calc. I'm going to pick 0, and I'm going to go to the left side of the left answer because it says left bound. Hit enter. Use your right arrow key. Go to the right side. Hit enter. Guess. Hit enter. One of my answers looks like it's going to be 0.142 or just 0.14. The other answer, I'm going to do the same thing. Second calc. 0. Left bound, tracing close to the other one, but not past it. I'm trying to get there. It's a lot of tracing. There it is. Left bound, go right, right bound, guess, and that gave me just 6. So those are my two answers, 0.14 and 6. Do that on your calc. Number 14, so that's going to solve that one. You don't know any opposites there, none at all. So what I do know though is this: I know big B. I know big B because you got to subtract from 180. So if I do 180 minus 131 minus 23, I get 26. So big B is 26, and because I know big B now I do know opposites. So what I'm looking for, I need little a and little c. And because I have opposites, I'm going to do law of sines. I'm going to do 10 over sine 26 degrees equals little a over sine 131 degrees. And I'm going to multiply 10 times sine 131. Divide that by sine 26, and I get 17.2 for A. You could put just 17, I guess. I'm going to go 17.2. And then I'm going to do the same thing again to find little c. Do 10 over sine 26. Those are my B's. Little c over sine 23. And I'm going to multiply again. 10 times sine 23 divided by sine 26. Enter. I got 8.9. Okay. And 17, solve that equation. You got to get the cosine by itself first and moving the 3 over. Gives me 2 cosine x is the square root of 3. Divide both sides by 2. You get square root of 3 over 2. By now, gosh, I wish you knew what the value of cosine of square root of 3 over 2. It happens at pi over 6 and also 11 pi over 6. And you can use your unit circle if you need to find that one. Number 18, the last one. You might need your formula page or your identity page on this one. Sine 2 theta. Sine 2 theta is really is this 2 sine x or 2 theta sine cosine x. I'm sorry, 2 sine theta cosine theta or 2 sine x cosine x. So what I need to do, I can't do this unless I know sine and cosine. I know sine is 12/13. I know I'm in quadrant 1. I know a famous triangle is really 5, 12, 13, which means cosine is 5/13. I don't want to put 5 12. It's 5/13. If you don't know that, you can draw your triangle. You can do this kind of deal. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and you can figure out that side's going to be 12. So plug this stuff in. Sine x is 12/13. Cosine x is 5/13. And I'm just going to multiply that out. 13 times 13 is 169. On the bottom, on the top, 2 times 12 times 5 is 120. It's positive. We're in quadrant 1. We're all good. And that's your test. Or practice test. I think that's it. So I don't think that's that bad. Hope it helps. Good luck.